every year, millions of people across the world are affected by disasters like floods, earthquakes, and cyclones. But here, the important questions are these disasters really natural, or it is our lack of preparedness that turns hazard into the disaster? Hello everyone, this is Dr. Ranjodh Singh, Assistant Professor in Civil Department, DAV University, Jalandhar. Today, we begin our journey into disaster management, a subject that is not just academic, but directly connected to saving lives and protecting the infrastructures. By the end of this lecture, you will understand what disasters are, how they are classified, and why proper planning and engineering play a crucial role in reducing their impact. We will start the concept of disasters, then we will move to its types, and finally, we will discuss the disaster management cycle, closing with the resilient infrastructures. So let's begin. We are starting with disaster management and resilient infrastructure. First of all, we will discuss the concept of disaster. Disasters are serious disruptions affecting communities, cause human, economic, and environmental losses, and can exceed the coping capacity of affected society, increasing due to the climate change and urbanization. You can see the different scenarios of the disasters. Human, economic, and environmental losses are there, rising temperature due to climate changes are there, exceeding the coping capacity, and serious disruptions we have shown in this figure. Now we are coming to the disaster. What a disaster actually is. Disaster is a serious disruption of the functioning of a community and society that causes widespread human, material, economic, and environmental losses and their impacts, which exceed the ability of the affected community to cope using its own resources. There are different types of disaster. The figure showing earthquake, flood, drought, wildfires, and sudden slow onsets, disruptions in the normal life exceed the local capacity. Now coming to the classification of disaster, basically there are two main disaster types. They are natural and man-made. Further, I have categorized them into the different categories. Natural disasters are categorized as meteorological, geological, and environmental. Similarly, man-made disasters are categorized in technological, industrial, and welfare. Further, the subcategories of meteorological disasters are floods, cyclone, hurricanes, typhoon, snowstorm. Geological disasters are earthquake, volcanic eruption, landslides, tsunami. Environmental and ecological are global warming, climate change. Technological disasters are transport accidents, structure failures, explosions, fires, the war between the countries. Industrial disasters are chemical spills, radiations, poisoning gases, wastewater from dying industry, etc. And the warfare is the last type of man-made disaster. Now coming to the management, we cannot stop all these disasters, but what we have in our hand is the management of these disasters. We can manage these disasters. We have three particular steps for managing these disasters. They are planning, organizing, and controlling. Planning of disaster, organizing, and controlling is in our hand. Planning is preparing the strategies and resources in advance to effectively respond and to minimize the impact of the disaster. Basically, planning should be in such a way that it should have a minimized impact of the disaster. This impact can be on human, on any other resources, on buildings, on environment, etc. And organizing involves the coordinating people, resources, and actions efficiently to manage and reduce the impact of the disaster. Similarly, controlling involves the implementing timely measures to contain the damage, protect lives, and prevent situations from worsening. This figure is showing the disaster management plan. These are the 4 steps basically in disaster management plan. First is prevention. second is preparedness, third is response, and fourth is recovery. Preventions have different steps. They are the risk assessment, mitigations, early warnings. Preparedness have emergency plans, training and drills, stockpiling. Response have emergency response, search and rescue, medical aid, and the recovery is restoration, rebuilding, and financial assistance. Now, coming to the objectives of this DM plan. DM means disaster management plan. These are the objectives of disaster management plan. The first is minimizing the loss of life and the loss of property. Second is the risk identification and assessment. Third is effective preparedness. Next is timely and efficient response. Then coordination among agencies. Then resource management. Then recovery and rehabilitation. And the last is enhance the resilience. In this lecture, we will focus on the resilient infrastructure also, but that will be the second part of this structure. Now, after DM plan, we are coming to the DM cycle, that is disaster management cycle. Disaster management cycle is almost similar to disaster management plan. There are 4 steps: mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. The same steps that have been involved in the disaster management plan, they are involved and they have been executed in the DM cycle also. Now, the next is, the first is mitigation. There are different mitigation techniques. I have categorized them in 2 types. First is structural and non-structural mitigations. First, I will discuss about the structural mitigations. Structural mitigations, the very first and the very important is the earthquake resistant design. Second, the dams, levees, and flood control structures. Third, the retrofitting of existing infrastructure, which is I personally think that is the most important. The existing infrastructure should be retrofitted so that it can resist the overcoming disasters. And the last in the structural mitigation is cyclone shelters and storm surges. Now coming to the non-structural mitigations, they are the land use planning, zoning of and the regulation, building codes and enforcement, and EWS. EWS, I mean to say, they are early warning systems. Now coming to the next slide, we are coming to the preparedness. What are the steps we should involve in the preparedness of a disaster? They are 8 steps, starting with, first of all, we know the risks. We need to identify the risks. We need to identify the local hazards like floods, earthquakes, fires. We need to identify in which area, in which zone we are, and what type of hazard one can occur. The second is emergency kits. Minimum 72 hours emergency kits should be present. Water, flood, flashlights, batteries, first aid, medicines, cash, and documents. Third is the family planning. There must be family planning also. That is the emergency contacts, meeting points, role of each members should be there. We should secure homes. We should fix heavy items, check gas, electricity connectivity. We should keep fire extinguishers in homes. The most important is we should stay informed. We should follow the National Disaster Management Authority, the relative SDMAs, State Disaster Management Authorities, like DDMAs also. And also the 6th point is we should know the basic skills. We should also know the first aid learning kits, the evacuation plans, and during disaster, we should stay calm, follow instructions issued by the competent authorities, and we should evacuate the area if needed. And after that, after disaster, we should check the injuries, avoid damages, and use safe water kits. Next, coming to the recovery, the rehabilitation and reconstruction is the most important part after the disaster. We should be able to rebuild the homes and infrastructure. If any infrastructure, any home, any other structure got damages during any disaster, we should be able to rebuild that. The restoring electricity, water, and communication must be ensured. We should provide the financial and social support to the victims. And also the environmental cleanup setup must be there, because every disaster ends with somehow environmental losses. So those losses can be recovered if we have environmental cleanup setup. The main key stakeholders for this recovery are government agencies like NDMA, SDMAs, DDMAs, and various NGOs in the different areas. We have local communities. These all are the key stakeholders for recovery purposes. Now, next topic of this lecture is hazard. Basically, discussing what is hazard. A hazard is a potential dangerous event that can convert into the disaster. It is a phenomena, or it can be human activity that may cause loss to the life, that can cause injury, that can cause property damage, and that can cause environmental harm. Like if we have free water, जैसे किसी फ्लोर के ऊपर कोई we have wet floor, like we have wet floor, that wet floor is a hazard, but that can be converted into a disaster if anybody वहाँ से कोई जब slip हुआ तो that wet floor can be a disaster. So a hazard is anything that has a potential to cause harm or damage. Next is the vulnerability. Vulnerability is the most important term in disaster management. Actually, vulnerability is the weakness to the damage, the degree to which a community, basically a community, second a system, and asset is susceptible to damage from a hazard due to its physical, social, economical, and environmental condition. And vulnerability is the weakness that makes people or systems more likely to be harmed by a hazard. Basically, the best and basic example of vulnerability is to any disaster. Like अभी मैंने बोला भी that wet floor. That wet floor can have an impact on a child, a lady, a female, a man, and an older man. Every category has different impact of that wet floor. So every group is differently vulnerable to the same disaster. So the best example, I had concluded that every community, every group, every age group has different vulnerability against different disasters. Now, coming to the next topic, it is the capacity. Capacity is the ability to cope. The combination of strengths, resources, and abilities available within a community, organization, or system to anticipate, cope with, resist, and recover from the impact of disaster. Basically, capacity is the capability. It can be in the terms of finances. It can be in the terms of resources. It can be in the terms of manpower. It can be in the terms of other things. That is that one can be able to overcome the impact of the disaster. Capacity is the ability of the people or system to manage and recover from the disasters using different resources and skills. Capability can be in the terms of skills also. Now, coming to the risk assessment, it is very important. First of all, we need to assess the risk. Before that, we need to identify the hazard, because one hazard can cause any risk and that can be converted into any disaster. So the very first point in the risk assessment is analysis of the hazard. Where we are living, we should identify the different hazards surrounding us. If we found any hazard around us, that can be analyzed, that can be categorized also. The first is analysis of hazard. The systematic process of identifying the hazard, analyzing vulnerabilities, and evaluating the potential impacts to determine the level of risks and appropriate mitigation measures. Then the risk assessment is the process of analyzing hazard and vulnerabilities to estimate the potential risk and its impact. After identifying the hazard, we can calculate the value of risk. I have also mentioned the formula here. Risk is hazard multiplied by exposure multiplied by vulnerability. The more value of hazard is, the more value of exposure is, the more value of if the vulnerabilities, that is equal to the risk. Risk is the multiplication of these three. It is the product of hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. Hazard mapping. It is very important process. Hazard mapping is to map the different types, different categories of the hazard. Like in the figure, in the map is showing the different hazards and their intensity, but this is only the earthquake and landslides. But if there are different hazards, we should map all these hazards to the different maps. The process of identifying and visually representing areas prone to the different hazards. Like if one area is prone to earthquake, one can be prone to flood, one can be prone to drought, one can be fire, and to plot these hazards on map to support planning and risk reduction is hazard mapping. We should map all the types of disasters on plane, on paper, on map, so that this mapping supports the planning and risk reduction. I have mentioned different tools for hazard mapping. There are different tools for mapping these types of hazards. Basically, they are GIS based, satellite based, GPS based. They are geographic information system, remote sensing, global positioning systems, drones, survey and field data collections. In some disasters, some hazards, the survey and field data collection is the most important. Historical data and records, modeling and simulation. There are some softwares which are also used to mapping of these hazards. They are ArcGIS, QGIS, HECRAS, HAZUS. These are the softwares tools which are used to mapping the different hazards. Now, this is the further example of mapping. EWS. EWS are early warning systems and are integrated systems that monitor hazards, forecast potential disasters, and disseminate timely warning to enable people and authorities to take the preventive action. These early warning systems are very useful in disaster management. Early warning systems are timely responses, they are communication between the stakeholders, they are the early detections, they are early decision makers. These can be a close monitoring. This can be a close monitoring. Now, coming to the institutional setup. There, Government of India has framed the institutional setup to overcome the impact of the disaster, to control the disasters, as well as to resist these disasters. This is the institutional setup, coming from top to the bottom. The first is national level setup, national level structure, that is NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority. Below that, state level structure, that is State Disaster Management Authority. Coming down, disaster level structure, District Disaster Management Authority. And coming to the ground level, the local level structure, they are the village ward committees or the communities. These can be NGOs also, these can be a particular one, people can be also. Now, this is the figure showing the governing authorities' control of these institutional setups. And as per the Disaster Management Act of 2005, Government of India, central government controls state government as well as MHA, as well as NDMA. And further, these all local level, state level, district level institutional setup is given in this figure. Now, coming to the NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority. The chairperson of NDMA is Honorable Prime Minister of India. And before further NDMA, the Prime Minister can choose further 8 members. They are the Prime Minister nominees. NDMA, then headed by the Home Secretary. It is headed by the Home Secretary. Coming down, central ministries and departments. Coming down, the disaster management authorities. Below that, district disaster management authorities. Below that, the local communities, authorities, the NGOs, etc. Now, the structure of State Disaster Management Authority. The State Disaster Management Authority it is headed by the Honorable Chief Minister of the state, and Chief Minister can appoint a vice chairman if he wants, and it is again there are 8 to 10 nominated members of this State Disaster Management Authority, and they are headed by the Chief Secretary. Below that, the state departments, agencies. Below that, district disaster management authorities are there, and again local bodies and NGOs, local people working on the grounds are there. Now, next, coming to the District Disaster Management Authority, DDMA, the chairman of DDMA is the district collector, district magistrate, and co-chairman can be Zila Parishad chairman, mayor, and coming down, district authority members. Below that, the district disaster management committee, and the block level and Tehsil level authorities, committees. Below that, the local bodies, panchayats, municipalities, community and peoples. This is the structure of TDMA.